ESPN and the NCAA aren't happy with players opting out. However, we all know that the NCAA is not going to pay these guys. And I'm just going to jump straight to the tweet here so we can see what was said, and then we'll have the discussion, because there's a bit of a contentious issue between sort of the old school group, the new school group, and I guess me, who kind of sits right in the middle. But Yahoo Sports College Football tweeted out, ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit criticized players who opt out of bowl games to prep for the NFL draft and thinks, quote, this era of player just doesn't love football. They go on to mention that all but one of this year's bowl games is an ESPN production, and it has a vented interest in stars playing. So here's what I'm going to say. The NCAA has made billions of dollars off the backs of college athletes. ESPN has made millions of dollars in their production of the NCAA off of college athletes. If you go all the way to the NFL level, sports is a business. It's no longer completely about the game. If it was, then guys would just play. There's a lot of money at stake. Futures are at stake. And when it comes to these young college athletes who are hoping to be drafted, who draft stock matters because it's going to affect your salary in your first 4 to 5 years in the league. If this kid plays in the Rose Bowl, if he plays in the Sugar Bowl, if he plays in the Tostitos Bowl, and he tears an ACL, is the NCAA or ESPN going to financially help him after he watches his draft stock plummet, if he's drafted at all? Sometimes a serious injury in a bowl game can lead to undrafted free agent. See, the thing is, and I say this, institutions like the NFL, like ESPN, like the NCAA, they've turned it into a business, and they're clear that they are in the business of football. They want to sell TV rights. They want to sell merchandise. They want to sell tickets. They're offering up their product, and the players to them are just a piece of that product. But now what you're starting to see is some of these institutions like the ESPNs or team owners in the NFL, athletic directors and heads of universities getting upset because the players have discovered, because it's a business, well, they're going to go into business with themselves. I'm going to go NFL for a second here. There was a lot of people, Pittsburgh Steelers fans and NFL fans in general, who had a lot of negative things to say about Le'Veon Bell when he decided to sit out an entire season over contract disputes with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, there's some that'll argue that hurt him because after he went to the New York Jets, it didn't work. He got released, went to Kansas City, didn't really work, lost the Super Bowl, signed with Baltimore this year. He was released. I think he just signed somewhere. I can't remember where. But he hasn't been the same since his Pittsburgh days, since the Killer Bees, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. However, I supported Bell, and I supported Le'Veon because if team owners and general managers and coaches are going to say this is a business, well, then the players got to start acting like it's a business. Because loyalty has to be both ways. It's not a one-way streak. It's funny. The team demands absolute loyalty from a player, but they won't give the same loyalty back. You know, you hear people argue like, well, you signed a contract and you agreed to that money. Yeah, well, what happens when a guy gets traded? A team agreed to that contract to keep him in that city, and they traded him away because they treat players like assets. Players are turning around now saying we're not assets. We're a brand. We're your brand. Because nobody wants to go to a college game or an NFL game, a CFL game, an XFL game, whatever L game, whatever professional sport you're watching. Nobody wants to go to watch the referees and the owners. You go to watch the players. And when you treat those players like assets and not human beings and not brands, well, they're going to bite back, and they're starting to bite back. And what you're seeing now, you got college athletes who are like, hey, my brand and my money and my family is more important than a bowl game. I'm sitting out. I'm getting ready to go to the NFL. So I don't think it's that they don't have a passion for football. I think, though, that, again, the institutions have turned it into such a business, the players have no choice but to treat it as a business themselves.